I'm Ann Dart.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome. Hello and welcome back. We are sitting here sweating today.
It is hot. It's a hot tamale here in Maryland.
It's sticky, and we just had a thunderstorm, and it got stickier instead of cooler.
We definitely envy anybody in a cooler climate.
At the beach, wish we were there. Now we're sitting under a woolly blanket
to record this for all of our lovely listeners.
And we're very happy to be doing it. Today we have two interviews, one with S.C. Perkins, and she is the author of the first book in her genealogy mystery series. And then we have an interview with Leslie Karst, who is the author of the Sally Solari mystery series out in California. Enjoy.
S.C. Perkins is a fifth-generation Texan who grew up hearing fascinating stories of her ancestry and eating lots of great Tex-Mex, both of which inspired the plot of her debut mystery novel, Murder Once Removed, was winner of the 2017 Malice Domestic Best First Traditional Mystery Competition. She resides in Houston, and when she's not writing or working at her day job, she's likely outside in the sun, on the beach, or riding horses.
We would like to welcome S.C. Perkins to the program. Feel free to call her Stephanie. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here with y'all.
Well, we're going to jump right into the first question with what gave you the idea to write a mystery involving genealogy?
Well, I have a lot of amateur genealogists in my family going back to my great-grandfather. So every time I would go to my grandparents' house, or my grandmother's house rather, I would hear about the latest, neatest person that they found that I was related to. And it was prevalent on my mom's side as well. This was generally my dad's side. It was just always there, and it was always interesting. And sometimes I would go to the genealogy library here in Houston if my grandmother would come in town to do some genealogy. It was just always a lot of fun. So whenever I was starting to think of a fun idea for a cozy mystery and a fun profession for my protagonist to have, I just thought genealogy would be so great, and it has been a blast.
In your book, you talk about a restaurant called, is it Flaco or Flaco?
It's Big Flaco's Tacos.
That based on a real place? It sounded very delicious.
It is not. I mean, there's lots of taco joints in Austin and Houston alike and all throughout Texas, but I made it up. I wanted a place for Lucy to be able to go where she would have sort of like a coffee shop of her own or a bar hangout or something. And here she can get great tacos and margaritas or beer if she likes. And so it's sort of a combo of both. And she can also get coffee in the mornings. I felt like it was a great place for her to have like a little hangout. And also Flaco is sort of her almost parental figure / guardian, since her parents are sort of off the picture. He's always a fun foil for Lucy. It was a lot of fun to write, but it is fictional. I've had many people either write me or ask me where they can find Flaco's Tacos, and I'm sad to say that it is fictional. I wish it were real, though.
Well, I just thought it was a great central location for her to meet up with people and gather information. It was good to include that.
Do you have a favorite taco place you go to?
There's a bunch of different ones that I like. I really actually can't name one that's a particular favorite. As far as Tex-Mex, like Tex-Mex in general, probably, yes, but not taco joint. Torchy's Tacos is always good, I will say that.
Is the 1849 death of Seth Halloran based on real events found through genealogical research?
It actually is not. I did create that in my mind, made it all up. However, there is a part of it where the character who was murdered, who was Seth Halloran, was trampled by a horse. And I thought, is that too much? Would that just would not work at all? I know a lot about horses. I used to ride horses, so I know that you can very easily be trampled, but I thought, I don't know about this. Anyway, whenever I was doing my research, I found an article, and I don't remember what year it was, but it was around 1849 of the Western Texas Texan, which is a real newspaper at the time. And there was a little article about a man who had been trampled by a horse, almost the exact same circumstances. And so I thought, okay, that at least is real. But the rest of it, no, I did create that. In my research since then, I found some fun things. I think I will be using some possibly cold cases or similar in the future.
Was your history with horses what gave you the idea for it?
No, not really. It was just something that came up as a way to help hide the stab wounds on the body so that the bad guys at the time could make it look like it had been an accident and hide the way that Seth Halloran was killed. And so books go through lots of different edits and whatnot, and there was a little bit more information about that in the beginning, but that was sort of streamlined a little bit. That was sort of hopefully a way to disguise the body and keep from it being obvious that Seth Halloran had been murdered.
Well, it was very clever.
Yeah, thank you.
How difficult was it to intertwine mysteries from two different eras?
It wasn't all that difficult. I enjoyed being able to sort of figure out both eras and then piece them together like a puzzle. It was fun for me. I just sort of worked it out. I'm a big time pantser. I'm a gold certified pantser practically, but I definitely had to write down a few things as to how this might have happened to get them to intertwine as well as they did. But it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Do you think Lucy will ever delve into DNA or familial DNA and use that to solve her crimes?
Yes. Now, you can get pretty dark with that kind of information. And so, being cozy mysteries, I probably will not delve into it in too dark of a way. But yes, she absolutely will. It's a huge part of genealogy and forensic genealogy as well. And so as the series, hopefully, fingers crossed, goes on, then I will be having that come into play. And it could very easily come into play in more than one book in different kinds of ways because it's such an integral part. Maybe even the one coming up a little, probably not too much. It would probably be in the future.
Well, it's such a hot topic right now. It definitely would benefit you to at least delve into it a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's incredibly interesting too. So it will be fun to be able to work it into a book or more.
Now, we had the pleasure of meeting you in person at Malice Domestic. After reading your book, we have to ask, is Lucy based on you at all?
No. I mean, every main character has a little bit of their creator in there. I definitely am a little stubborn, and I am also petite like Lucy is. But no, actually, whenever I write a main character, I always see an actress in my mind that I think fits the character, and I kind of work off that actress and how I see them. So Lucy is very much a figment of my imagination. She definitely has some of my traits and a lot of what I see the actress who I really liked, who I see as Lucy. In various television shows, I watched her and tried to sort of emulate her a little bit.
So you're not going to name that actress?
Oh, I'm happy to name who it is. And her name is Rachel Bilson. She was most recently in a real cute series called Heart of Dixie. And then also this past year, she was in a show called Take Two. It's actually a mystery series on one of the big networks. And she's brunette. And I just always thought that she was a cute actress. And to me, she just embodies Lucy 100%. Everybody likes to see their own version of Lucy. And I had one of my good friends say that they saw Jennifer Garner. And then there was another great actress who somebody said, oh, this is who I see and whatnot. So it was a lot of fun. And anyone can see exactly who they like. And I'm happy with all of them, but Rachel Bilson is who I see.
Well, that's a great answer because it's so true. When you read a book, you can't help but envision somebody. And since actors and actresses are who we see a lot of and would know how to act, that's kind of who you go to.
And I think that it's sort of, at least whenever I write, I sort of see them like movie images in my mind, and seeing an actual actress who I've seen on screen and know how they walk and talk and whatnot, it makes it even easier. So I enjoy it. That's a little bit of my process.
Well, your bio says you're a fifth-generation Texan. What years would that put your ancestors in, and what would have been going on in Texas history at that time?
Well, that was just after the Alamo, and that was 1836 with the Battle of the Alamo. My ancestor came in right after that, And to be honest, I mean, there was definitely things going on. The big things that you hear about, like the Alamo had just finished whenever they came in. And then from different sides of my family, I'm different generation Texan. From my father's side of the family, I'm only second generation, but on my mom's side, I am fifth. In Texas, it's a weird thing, but it's a big thing, especially if you're of a certain age, to be fifth generation or more. And I actually know author Deanna Rayburn, who I think is fantastic. I don't know if you've interviewed her, but she's a sixth generation Texan, and that's pretty big. I am 47, and if you're really over the age of, I think, about 45, if you're fifth generation or older, that means your family has been here for a long time. Now, on my dad's side of the family, though, I do have relatives who have been in Texas since the time of King Carlos II, I believe. So technically, I'm from way, way, way back and whatnot. There was our family, the Longoria family, was granted land down in Starr County, which is in South Texas. That was before Texas even became a state and before the Alamo. So that was pretty cool. And it just depends on which branch of the family that you take it off of as to what generation Texan you are.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, I wanted to tell you that I have an uncle who spent probably 20 years researching my family tree, and we found out that we're related to the first witch that was hung in Salem, Rebecca Nurse.
Oh, wow.
And we also found out that we're related to Winston Churchill.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so
wow.
We were curious. Do you have any famous characters in your family tree?
I do. I also am related to a woman who was tried as a witch, but was never hung or burned. She escaped or was found not guilty, one or the other. That one I actually know less about. The Perkins family actually came into Boston and helped found Boston. So that's my people up there. So technically I'm a Yankee. Don't tell anyone. So,
it's our secret.
Right. But let's see, who else am I related to? I'm related to Humphrey Bogart, which is very cool, and a Mayflower descendant, and possibly a Magna Carta descendant. I'm related to Anne Boleyn, which is pretty cool.
Oh,
and
yeah, now I'm
yeah.
That's amazing.
Right, yeah, it's very cool, but I think we all have really interesting people. And, and sometimes most people would have never heard of them, but they still do really neat things. So, yeah, it's really cool. I'm both a Hatfield and a McCoy, too. So,
wow.
Yeah, so. And it's mostly on my dad's side. My mom's side, it actually has more of the more humble side of the family, which has less interesting characters, at least on the public level and everything. But just our family level, there's a lot of interesting characters on my mom's side, too. So, yeah, it's pretty neat.
Now, have you ever had your DNA tested?
I have not yet. That is what I plan on doing. My mom has, and my aunts have on my father's side. And we're basically English, Irish, and Spanish. There's some really interesting stuff in there, but that is something that I need to do. It is on my to-do list for sure. I think it'd be really neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Makes me want to go out and research my family. See who I can come up with.
Absolutely. Have either of y'all had it done?
No, I do plan on doing it. What I'd like to do is have my son done, and Kathy's my sister-in-law. That would take care of both sides of the family.
Right. Absolutely. Y'all need to be done because the mtDNA, the mitochondrial DNA, traces you back from mother to mother to mother. So that your mtDNA goes back very, very far. So that's really interesting too.
And the way that the genes mix up in each family and each descendant be completely different.
Yes. You can have two or more full-fledged siblings from the same parent. And let's say that you're English and Irish, and one sibling can be 70% English and 30% Irish, and the next sibling could be 60% English and 40% Irish, or even 20% and 80%. It's very, very strange.
It boggles the mind. Now, since you wrote this book, Stephanie, what have you tried to learn more about this, or was this something you already knew?
I knew some of it, again, from always listening to my grandmother and my aunt and my uncle, who are very big into genealogy on an amateur level. So I knew a little bit about it. I knew enough to be fascinated. And so I had to do a bunch of research once I actually started writing it. And then I did pass it through my uncle, who was very, very good about catching any of my errors. I do want to learn more about it. As far as starting out, I knew very little. I'm definitely an armchair genealogist and a fan of it. I'm more and more fascinated about it the more I research into it. So I'm looking forward to doing more of that.
Well, we really thought that the genealogy angle for a mystery was very clever and unique. And you also did